I am here to tell you something personal. I've seen things in your future that will shock you. But only if you trust this message completely. A massive reward is heading your way. But you cannot skip this. It's too important. I saw you pass the hardest test, my child. You had no idea it was a test. That's what made it so holy. It seemed like the days never ended. The nights were so heavy you could hardly lift your head. And there were times when it was so quiet that you wondered if I had stopped listening. You kept going anyway. You didn't need to. You could have shut your heart off, turned away from me, and said your faith had failed you. You didn't though. I saw every part of that choice. I saw how much it cost you to stay. I need you to fully understand something. The silence you walked through wasn't a sign of being left alone. In no way was it punishment. It wasn't proof that I forgot your name. It showed that I believed in you. A refiner doesn't stand across the room when he puts gold into the fire. He leans in close and watches carefully, waiting for the exact moment when the dirt will rise to the surface. That was what I did. I wasn't too far away from you in that fire. I was right there watching, taking care of, and making sure the flame did its job perfectly without eating away at any part of who you are. You thought I wasn't talking. I didn't stay quiet. Heaven was working behind every closed door, every prayer that went unanswered, and every morning when you had to make a new decision about your faith. What you couldn't see was what I was setting up. I was putting people and events in place with such accuracy that you couldn't have planned it better yourself. It was all done for you because your name is still important in heaven. There were times when you almost gave up. I know all of them. I remember the exact night you could not sleep and whispered, "Maybe this is not meant for me." I remember the mornings when hope seemed like something that belonged to someone else, someone whose life was easier and whose prayers seemed to work faster. As you looked around, you saw other people moving forward with doors opening and prayers being answered for them. But you were still in that silence. You asked me why. Please say, "Men, if you believe what I'm saying about your life today," I heard every reason. I didn't always answer with an explanation because a tired heart doesn't always need them. Sometimes all a tired heart needs is to know that I am still here, that I remember your name, and that I have not left you behind. So I spoke into your spirit and whispered, "Hold on." You couldn't hear it. That thread of hope didn't break, even on the nights you were sure it was gone. That was my child me. It was my steady, quiet hand that held you together. When you thought you were going to fall apart, everything was fine with you. You were being made from the inside of the process. It's hard to see the difference, but I've seen it in you from the start. I knew what kind of faith you would grow. I knew the kind of strength that can only be gained by being pushed. And I knew you could handle it, not because you had the biggest shoulders, but because your heart was ready. Nothing like perfection, performance, or being able to do everything perfectly is what I've always sought. All I want is a heart that says, "Lord, I don't understand, but I am still here." You gave me that. You gave me that over and over again. You chose to trust every day. When you woke up at night, you closed your eyes and told yourself, "Snorts, I don't know what tomorrow holds," but you do. Every prayer that came out of your mouth, even the ones that were broken or more, like groans than words, reached me. They didn't all get blown away by the wind. They came up to my throne and I have answered all of them in a way that will take your breath away. As you walked, my beloved, heaven watched. During that long time, the angels who now carry your breakthrough watched over you. They saw you be kind even though it would have been easier to be mean. They saw you forgive people who never asked you to. They watched as you loved even though it cost you more than you could afford. And there was no peace in heaven at that time. Every time you stood back up, my courts were full of happiness. You always washed your face and kept going. Every time you picked me over ease, over pride, and over the path that was less important. Everyone saw how hard it was for you. Heaven saw how you prayed. I want you to remember that those two things are not the same. Heaven called what the world called losing moving forward. In heaven, what people call silence is called getting ready. Your work wasn't getting behind. You were becoming something that had never been seen before. A version of yourself that has been honed by fire and shaped by trust. Ready for the season that is now coming. You did well, my child. We're done with the test. The fire is out for good now. After all that fire, there is something pure, strong, and ready. It's you too. Everyone, you are now closer to my promise than you have ever been. Please know that every seed you plant in this mission grows into a torch that shines in someone else's darkness. Whether by buying a coffee, making a donation, or becoming a member of our community, does not go to a channel. Your actions are supporting a divine mission to save lost souls. But more than your support, we want your presence. When you head to our community through the link in the description or the pinned comment, you aren't just visiting a site. This is a sanctuary where you can post your prayer requests, lift up the burdens of others, and engage in daily discussions with a family that speaks the language of. You are entering a community of like-minded believers. Faith. Whether you are joining one of our membership tiers for deeper study, sowing a seed of faith, or simply joining our daily morning prayers, you are helping us build a global altar of worship. Heaven moves through willing voices, but it grows through a community that stands together. Each gift you give acts as living water for those in our community seeking healing and hope. Give and it will be given to you is the promise that sustains our shared mission. I invite you now to step out of the shadows and into this circle of prayer. Come with purpose, join the conversation, and plant your seed in fertile ground. Let's open the heavens together. Release your seed today. Join our community and see what God brings back into your life. It's important that you take these words as more than just comfort. This message that you are getting now is not a coincidence. Before this moment, it was already going to happen. This meeting was planned by heaven itself. Snorts, all of my plans have been building up to the hour. You are now getting into. You didn't just happen to be here. You were drawn here by my spirit because you deserve what's coming next. You no longer have to wait. Keep going because the reward for your loyalty is coming. I am the God who always does what he says. I need to talk to you about the silence because I know it hurt. You could feel it, and I don't want you to keep being hurt by it. There were times when you cried out to me, but I didn't hear you. You didn't feel any comfort. There was no clarity. The door did not open. Nothing but vast heavy stillness. You were right in the middle of it all. Not sure what you did wrong. I was wondering if I let you down. I was wondering if you had gotten away from me. Please pay close attention to what I say. I could always get to you, not even for a breath, not even for a second. It doesn't matter if you can feel my reach. The silence did not show that I was not there. It proved that I could trust them. There is silence in the room when a teacher gives a test because the test is meant to find out what the student already knows. The teacher doesn't sit next to them and whisper answers. My quiet wasn't a way for me to pull away, it was a sure thing. I didn't say anything because I knew what was going on inside you. That's where I put it. I was just waiting for it to come out. It did come out in ways that make me feel sad. Every time I think about them, you chose to trust me in the morning, even though it seemed silly to do so. You chose to pray at night when it felt like you were shouting into the void. You didn't let your faith break, even when it was almost too thin to hold. My child, that thread never broke, not once. And it wasn't your hold that kept it together, it was mine. Talk, I think. If these words are getting to you right now, I know that when you walked through the wilderness, all you saw was loss. Things you loved were taken away, lost people who were important to you. The plans you made fell apart. Dreams you had put off for so long that they started to fade. It looked like making less. You felt like someone was taking something away from you. I wasn't taking, though. I was making room. People, those two things are not the same. And I need you to understand that when someone loves their vine, they don't let it grow in any direction. He cuts it down slowly and carefully. Not because he is mean, but because he cares. Taking away what is weakening the vine without making fruit is what he does. He cuts away what is tangled and going in the wrong direction so what's left can grow taller. Go deeper and produce more than the vine that wasn't pruned in your wilderness season. That's what I did. Every person I let go of your life. Every plan I let fall apart and every comfort I took away was not a punishment, but a pruning. Cut back. Some of the people I let go of. You were never meant to be on your whole journey with you. They were put in charge for a season. And when that season ended, I ended the process. Not because they were your enemies, but because you need a different kind of friend with you. Where I'm taking you. Some of the plans that didn't work out would have kept you where I told you to leave. When some opportunities went away, it looked like they were turned down, but they were actually redirected. I wasn't making your life less open. I was making the path straight. I was also doing something that couldn't be done in large groups. When I was in the wilderness, I taught you to listen to my voice. Not the loud voice that announces miracles and answers to prayers, but the whisper, the still small sound that is stronger than any storm. You wouldn't have learned to hear it if I kept making noise in your life. Taking things away was also a tuning. Your spirit was getting in tune with my frequency. You can hear me better now than ever before. My dear, the wilderness you lived through was a school. There was a lesson in every valley you went through. When you couldn't see, you learned to walk by trust. Without the promise of coming back, you learned how to love. You learned to forgive not because the wound stopped hurting, but because you chose to let go instead of being angry. You learned that peace doesn't come from things going well, it's from me. And no amount of money can teach that lesson, that deep and lasting lesson. Some things can only be learned in silence where there is nothing left but me. It was all used up. Not a single day, not a single tear. Every night I slept well. There wasn't a single prayer that hit the ceiling and then fell back down. I was hearing everything. I was writing down every act of faith. I kept track of every time you picked me, even though it would have been so much easier to pick something else. The wilderness season is not a break in your story. That chapter is one of the most important ones because it shows what kind of person you are. And heaven places a lot of value on what you are made of. It's no longer time to strip. New growth is already starting to appear where old growth was cut back. It's time to leave the wilderness and go to the right place. You're no longer in the classroom, but you still remember everything you learned. You're not going forward without anything. As you move forward, you do so with a faith that has been tried and held strong because they worked for their strength instead of borrowing it. It is peaceful and stays that way even when everything else is shaking. My child, I'm proud of you. Not the way most people use that word. The way a dad looks at his son after he's been through a tough time and come out on the other side. Okay, still having faith. Still mine. That's what I see now when I look at you. Someone who got through the worst and didn't lose what was most important to them. Your faith is still strong. Your love is still alive. You have an open heart. So everything that is being sent to you now has a place to go. I saw times when being obedient meant giving up everything. Not the simple act of obeying. If the path is clear and the road is smooth, anyone can follow me. The other kind is what I mean, the duty that came with tears. The obedience that meant giving up something valuable to leave something you're used to. To put your trust in me with your hands open when your gut told you to hold on. It's not often that people obey so well. It's the kind that makes heaven move. I asked you to give up some of the things you loved the most. You did what they said even though you didn't know why. With shaking hands and a broken heart, you let go of it. Lord, I don't understand what you're doing, but I trust you. You said giving up wasn't weakness, it was a war. It shook the world that can't be seen. That's why obedience comes from love, not duty or fear. But a real choice to trust me more than anything else. In the end, that kind of obedience will matter. I saw you forgive people who had hurt you very badly, people who never said sorry. People who took something from you and may never understand it. Still, you chose to let them go. It wasn't easy for you to do it. You did it because you picked me over being angry. It was holy for you to forgive, my child. That wound was meant to get worse by the enemy. He meant for the hurt to stay in your heart, turn into something that would hurt you in the future, but you turned him down. You let go of your hand and opened it up. And at that very moment, chains that you couldn't even see fell off your feet. My child, I want you to give some of what you have, something real, to the altar of this work, like putting gold on the scales of this calling. Let it be a seed planted in deep water or an offering set on stone. Don't be afraid to do it. This shows that you trust me to provide and that your heart no longer longs for lack. When you let go with faith, it stays in your life. It moves ahead of you into the harvest I'm getting ready for. I saw you leave arguments that you could have won. I saw you keep quiet when you could have spoken out in public to defend yourself. Snorts, I saw you choose the humble path even though at the time it would have felt so much better to be proud. The world didn't praise the choices you made, however, heaven saw all of them. You look like me every time you picked peace, Snorts, over pride. When you chose to bless instead of fight back, you brought a part of my personality into a world that needs it very much. People who hired you never thanked you. You helped people who were in need. Even when you were in need yourself, people who had hurt you were prayed for. And your prayer was real, not fake. You didn't do those things to make me love you. You did those things because my love was already working in you and flowing through you, touching lives in ways you might not have known. That's what someone looks like when my spirit lives in them. Love that keeps acting even when it has every right to rest. Not perfection or not having to struggle. My child, I have written down every act of obedience you did alone. Not a single one of them was missed. You thought those parts of the story were small, unnoticeable, and not important to the bigger picture. However, those moments that were kept secret were the building blocks of what is now being built in public. What was true in private is about to be seen as true in public. What was given up in secret is about to come back stronger. It's now time for the harvest to come up from the seeds you planted with quiet trust. It will be bigger than what you planted. I know there were times when you did what I said, but it still hurt. There were times when you did what I said and still lost something important. I heard you cry out, "Lord, I did what you asked, and it still went wrong." I sat in it with you. I didn't brush it off with a quick answer. Now, I want to tell you what was going on at that time. When I make obeying me feel like it costs a lot, it's because I'm testing not your strength, but your willingness to give up. I want to know if you will trust me. Even if you can't find me, will you follow even if you don't understand what will happen? And you always said yes. Being able to say yes has made you strong. That yes has shown that your faith isn't dependent on good things happening. It comes from being who I am. That kind of obedience is praised in heaven. Not the obedience of a servant doing a job, but the obedience of a child who has full faith in their parent. That is what you gave me. My love, now that I know how much you trust me, I can safely bring what I've been working on into your life. The promise has not been put off any longer. The blessing that came about because you obeyed is now on its way. What your loyalty bought in the spiritual world is about to show up in your life. Stay put, don't close your heart. Now more than ever, the reward is close by. If you were faithful, heaven didn't look at how much you accomplished, but at how fully you gave up. It's all on the record. In the places that hurt the most, you gave up. You put your faith in seasons that didn't make sense. You loved even when it meant giving up things. Now the amount of that faithfulness is being given back to you. Pressed down, mixed, and overflowing, that idea has always been right. What you give me doesn't go away when I hold it. It gets bigger. Also, the time for the bigger return has come. There is something I need to talk to you about. Since you knew it, it was real. I have never led anyone to believe otherwise. There were times in your life when it seemed like everything was breaking apart at once. The ground that your plans were built on gave way under you. You couldn't count on certain people to be there for you when you needed them the most. The future you had imagined fell apart right in front of your eyes, and you were left standing in the broken pieces of the life you thought you would have. You asked me the hardest question a heart can ask at that time. Why did you let this happen? Now is the time for me to answer. It's not about religion, not from far away, but with the truth about what I saw when I let those things fall apart. Some things broke because they were built on ground that wasn't strong enough to hold the weight of what I have chosen for you to carry. Your future wasn't in danger because of me. I was getting the site clean. The builder who is putting in a permanent foundation doesn't work around the old buildings that aren't stable. He takes them off. There is more dirt under his feet than ever before. That breaking sound you heard was the sound of the digging. You didn't know how deep I was going. Putting together the base of your life so that it can handle what's coming without breaking. If your heart is ready to receive what heaven is giving you today, say, "Yes, Lord, my child, you did not break. You split open. There's a difference. What breaks just doesn't work. What breaks open lets go. If a seed shell is still there, it won't grow. Before the living thing inside the shell can push up toward the light, it has to give way, split, and yield. That's what happened during your worst times. It was possible for what I had put inside you, the real you, to finally come out into the open. You were faith-filled, love-filled, and purpose-filled. I saw you in those times when everything went wrong. I saw you get down on your knees. I heard you whisper, "God, I can't take it anymore," and when you did that, something changed. Because giving up is not the same as losing. When you surrender, you let go of things that force can't handle. My hands were fully under you. As soon as you stopped trying to hold together something I had already let fall, you didn't just fall apart, you fell into me, and that's when the change started. You are not damaged by the cracks that the breaking made. They are the holes that my light can now shine through. Most of the time, a vessel that has never been broken is too close to let anything in or out. When your heart was broken, it turned into porosity, which means it was open wide enough to receive and pour out without any limits. I am designing with what you thought was damage. My grace flows through you most freely now in the very places where you were broken. I also want to tell you something that the breaking did for you that no happy season could have. It made people care. Real kindness. The type that is not just talked about but also done. You now know what it's like to be in pain and not know what to do. You know what it means to hope when it's hard to hope. You know what it's like to hold on, even though you want to let go. Now that you really understand these things, you can sit with other people who are going through the same thing and give them something that will not be taught. You can be there for them and show that you understand. One of the best things about being human is having that gift. And it was broken that put it in your hands. Dear one, the fire you went through wasn't meant to hurt you. I let it happen because I needed gold for your future. And heat is the only way to make gold. Before you did, I knew what was inside you. I knew how strong your faith was before it was put to the test. The test did not make you more religious. It told you about it. To the unseen world and to everyone watching, there was always faith. It was only brought to the surface by the fire so that everyone could see what I already knew. What looked like your ending was actually the start of my story. Plans were being made for what looked like a loss. What looked like a mess was actually building. It was hard times. So I built in the noise, mess, and confusion of those times. I was putting together something in you that needed those conditions. Not because I'm mean, but because I do things right. I don't do part-time work. I don't start in the middle. You now have what I have been building in you through every broken season to be ready for what is coming. What you are now is not the same as when you went into the fire. You're stronger. You know more now. You are both softer and stronger at the same time. You're all set. This is what I want you to know. During those times, I never lost a single piece of you. There was no loss of any part of who you are. At times, you felt like you weren't together, like the person you used to be was too broken to put back together. But I was getting everything together with great care. I held them like you would hold something priceless. That's not all I did. I was also holding. I was fixing things. I put you back together slowly, quietly, and with a lot of care. Not the way you were before, but the way you were always meant to be. The version of you that comes out of this season is not less than the last. For sure, it's the truth. This is the one I made for you before you were born. Now that you know that, let it sink in deeply. You're not hurt. You were changed, and the person who made you again doesn't make mistakes. Let me tell you about what's coming up now. Not as a far-off hope, but as a reality that is happening right now. You said prayers over your life snorts that you stopped saying out loud over time. There wasn't a loss of faith, but the time between the prayer and the answer got so long that saying the prayer again started to hurt. That's why you kept it inside, quietly where hope lives when it's too painful to show. That place is familiar to me. It's what I spoke into. Even when you couldn't hear me, and this is what I've been talking about, I did not forget. The promise is still alive, and the time for it to come true has come. The sky over your life has changed in some way. The time of year you've been in is changing. Things that were still are starting to move. Things that were sealed are starting to come loose. What was held back is now being let go of. I'm the God who decides when things happen, and I'm telling this one to turn. Your endurance was put to the test by the long winter below the surface. The ground that looked cold and bare is getting warmer. This time you can't see it with any eyes, but life is coming back. Things are starting to move. Your big breakthrough is not some far-off dream. It's almost there. It is moving toward you right now. It's going through the hearts and hands of people I've already put in place. Someone is being moved to think of you right now. As you read these words, someone is being told to reach out, open a door, or say your name in a place where it needs to be said. The thought of you may have been so strong that they don't fully understand why, but I'm the one who is moving them. People, events, and situations that didn't seem to have anything to do with your prayer have been used by me to bring you the answer in a way that makes it. I set this up. Clear who planned it. Say I trust. If you think this word fits your life today, the surprise I'm sending your way is not a small one. When faith is strong and the wait is long, I don't do small things. What you are about to get will be just right for what you have been through. It will be as deep as the sacrifice. It will hold the weight of the prayers you said during every hard time. I don't give a weak answer to long-lasting, costly faith. What's coming is just the right size to meet you. Where you are now, not where you were when you first started praying, but where I have brought you through. Everything that has happened since then, it could come to you as a message that changes your mind about something you had given up on. You might get it through a conversation you didn't know was planned. It might look like an open door in a place that you used to think was always locked. It could be peace that comes over you out of the blue and stays there for so long that you realize something has changed. After being in the air for a long time, something has finally come down. You will recognize it no matter what form it takes. Not because it will make a big noise, but because your heart will feel better when it gets there. The anxious waiting will end and a deep quiet knowing will take its place. That's how I signed my name. You'll know it was from me because of that peace. I know how fragile hope can become after a long time of waiting. My love to keep from getting hurt again. I know how the heart builds walls to protect itself. It learns to expect little. Now I want to have a quiet, but clear conversation about that protection. Bring down the walls, kid. Open up your heart again. Not naive or lack of knowledge, but willing to listen to me. Ready to receive what I bring. What an open heart can hold, a closed heart can't take in. The very spot you have been watching over with great care is where I am trying to get to with what I have prepared. Something was fed by the tears you shed behind closed doors. That's the idea behind sowing and reaping. It's not just for ground and seed either. It works for faith and keeping promises, for prayer and getting things done. You planted seeds with every tear. You shed in private over these wants, needs, and hopes that just won't go away. They disappeared into the ground where you were waiting and seemed to have been lost. I don't let holy tears fall away, though. I get them together. I put them in. Because of them, something bigger grows than anything the human eye could have thought of in the dark. What you prayed for behind closed doors is now coming true. What you held onto in faith during all the quiet times is now coming to the surface. The answer isn't necessarily coming from where you thought it would. I rarely come from where people expect me to, because my ways are different from yours and my paths are higher than any road you would have made yourself. But it's on the way. And when it gets here, you'll see for sure that I was the only one who could have made this happen. How well it fits the need, how precisely it works, and when it works. A clear mark of my hand will be on it. Take a deep breath, my child. The breakthrough has begun. It looks like heaven is moving for you. The season of letting go has begun, and what I started will not stop. It shows up. I want you to pay attention to how your spirit is moving right now. That quiet sense of being alive that is rising in you as you read these words. You're not excited like that. That's my spirit being sure of what I'm saying. When your spirit hears the truth, it knows it. Right now, your spirit is saying yes to this word because you know that this is real. Even though you've been waiting and asking questions, that I'm real, that I have been honest with you every day during the long season you have been through. Now the season changes. Now the blessing comes. Right now you'll understand why the wait was so worth it. Please allow me to describe this new part. This time I'm not going to use vague spiritual language. I'm going to get straight to the point. Things that have been lost will be brought back to life. Not something less than what was lost. Not a weak replacement that you have to force yourself to be thankful for. Real restoration, fully and completely full. My name is God and I fix things. I don't patch. I don't switch to something less expensive. People are interested in what I bring back. What I give back comes with more. You still have the years that felt like they were taken away from you. They are being saved. Even better, the redemption will be clear in ways that will make people around you wonder what happened. Doors that were shut are now being opened. Not the doors you slammed into with all your strength, snorts, but the right ones, the ones who were chosen. These are the ones that give you more than just relief. You didn't always get turned down when a door shut behind you. Some of them were for safety. Some of those closed doors held something that would have drained your energy, taken your attention away, or tied you to a season I was trying to get you out of. From where you were standing, you couldn't see it. But the door that wouldn't open was useful. You will see it now, though. You'll understand when you look back at the closed doors on the right as they swing open wide. You'll be thankful and say, I see why. Where there was doubt about the way forward, now there is clarity. The fog that made it hard to know what to do is getting thinner. You don't have to be able to see the whole road from where you are. There are times when I don't show the whole journey at once because it would be too much to handle. I show you what to do next. Getting seen is the next step. When you see it, take it. Do not wait for the next step to show up before you move. As I like the one step, trust it and take it. The next one will show up when you need it, not before. Because I don't waste revelation on steps you aren't close to yet. People who have been hurt in relationships and lost touch are starting to heal. I'm softening hearts that have grown hard from pain. I'm reopening lines of communication that were shut down during times of miscommunication. Some of the people I'm calling back into your life are ones you had quietly missed. Some of the things that are being fixed this season are threads that looked like they were so frayed that they couldn't be rewoven. But I weave. What I weave can't be taken apart either. I can't promise that every relationship will come back. Some weren't supposed to, but I'm taking care of the ones that belong in your future. Those I'm moving toward fixing up. I am moving to places where there has been a lack of provision and uncertainty. I have not been oblivious to how heavy that is. I haven't ignored the nights. You stayed up worrying about money and praying for a breakthrough that always seemed just out of reach. I'm not a God who doesn't care about what's useful. I care about you in more ways than one. I care about the material things in your life because you have a body that needs to be fed, housed, and kept alive. The provision I'm letting go of wasn't added on the spot. It's already been made. It's tied to the same schedule as everything else I've been setting up. And it's coming through channels you didn't open yourself, since what I offer doesn't depend on how much money you have. You are feeling peaceful now. My child, the quiet calm that is taking the place of the low hum of anxiety you've been carrying is itself a sign. I give peace as a warning ahead of time, as a first fruit, as an early look. It's because the answer is close when my peace comes before it does. The peace is saying you can rest now. You do not have to hold this with white knuckles any longer. I have it. I have always had it, and I am bringing it to you. The fear that has followed you through this waiting season. The dread of more disappointment, the protective bracing against another letdown. You can lay that down now. Not because everything is already fixed, but because the one who fixes things is already at work. And my track record with your life, even when you could not see it clearly, has been faithfulness, start to finish. From the day I first breathed my life into you, I have been faithful. I will not stop now. This is the appointed time. Not a time you earned by being good enough, snorts, or faithful enough. A time I chose in my wisdom that takes into account everything about you. Everything about your circumstances, and everything I know about the road that lies ahead. I chose this moment. I orchestrated this season, and I am standing in the middle of it with you. Not watching from a distance, but close. So close you could reach out and find me. So close that when you whisper, I can hear it without effort. The new chapter has already begun. The page has turned. You are no longer in the chapter of the test. You are in the chapter of the reward. And the best part of that chapter is not what you will receive. The best part is who you will be as you walk through it. Someone who knows, truly knows, that I am faithful. Someone who has experienced not just the blessing, but the God who blesses. That knowledge is worth everything, and it is yours forever. I want to speak to you about who you are now, not who you were when the hard season began. Who you are now on the other side of it. You are not diminished by what you went through. You are enlarged. The suffering did not shrink you, it stretched you, and the stretching was painful. But now your capacity is greater than it has ever been. You can carry more love because you have experienced how much love costs and chose to keep giving it anyway. You can hold more peace because you have lived through seasons where peace was not available on the surface and learned to find it deeper down. You can extend more grace because you know what it is to desperately need it. Every hard thing became an expansion. You are bigger on the inside than you were before any of it. I want you to stop measuring yourself against the version of you that existed before the fire. That person was not more complete. That person had not yet been through the refining. There is a quality in refined gold that unrefined gold simply does not have. It is not the rawness that gives it value. It is the purity that emerges from the process. You have that purity now. Not moral perfection, but a clarity of spirit. A settledness, a knowing of what truly matters and what does not, a wisdom that can only be learned through living. You carry that now, and it has made you someone I can trust with what is coming. I've always known your name. I've always seen your face, but there is something particular about this moment. This crossing from one chapter into another where I want you to hear me say it with more warmth than you have perhaps ever allowed yourself to receive. You are my child, not by your achievement, not by your performance. You are mine because I chose you, and nothing that happened during the waiting. Not the doubts, not the questions, not the moments you could not feel me close. None of it changed that you belong to me completely, permanently. That belonging is the foundation that holds everything else. I am asking you to move into this new chapter with your hands open. Not clutching what came before, not bracing against what might come next. Open hands receive what closed hands cannot. What I am bringing flows. It arrives. It settles most completely in a heart that has been emptied of self-protection and filled with trust. That is where you are now. That is the posture the long waiting produced in you. And it is exactly the posture needed to receive what heaven is releasing. I also want to speak to you about those you carry in your heart, those you love, the ones you bring before me in the quiet. What I am doing in your life is not isolated to you alone. What I release into your life will flow outward. Those you carry in prayer will be touched by the same wave of my faithfulness breaking over your life right now. The breakthrough you receive is not just for your psyche. Though I would send it for your psyche alone, it is also for those who need to see through your story. That I still move. That faithfulness to me in the hard seasons is never ever in vain. Your story is already a testimony. Every person who hears what I have done for you in this season will have their own faith strengthened. Some will be pulled back from the edge of giving up because they hear your story and realize the one who came through for you will come through for them. The full reach of what your endurance has made possible is greater than you can currently measure. But I see it, all of it. And I say to you, the weight of what your faithfulness has already produced in the unseen realm is extraordinary. My precious one, I am sending you into this new season with everything you need. Not just provision and not just opportunity, though both are coming. I am sending you with the one thing that makes all the rest possible, my presence. I will be with you in the harvest as I was with you in the planting. I will be with you when the doors open as I was with you when they were closed. My presence does not shift with your circumstances. It is the constant. Let it be your foundation. Let me be the ground you build on. And nothing that rises from that ground can be pulled down. I want you to know what I have been speaking into your life through every hard day. Even when you could not hear it, I love you, not the idea of you. You exactly as you are. With every scar the journey left, with every question you still carry, with every hope that is still fragile and reaching. I love you with a love that did not waver once through the wilderness. A love that went in with you and is now walking with you out. That will never change. The hour has come. The appointed time has arrived. Keep your heart open, and when it arrives, let gratitude rise, because the God who brought you through the fire brought you out with a plan, and that plan is unfolding. Everything I promised you is moving towards you right now. Watch for it. Now, you passed the test. Heaven saw every moment of it. The angels who watched you choose trust in the middle of your pain are now carrying what your faithfulness purchased. They are not withholding it, they are delivering it. The same heaven that witnessed your tears is now releasing your reward. And the reward is calibrated to the cost of what you carried. Nothing about what is coming is small, nothing about it is accidental. It has been measured and prepared and timed with a precision that only I can achieve, and it is yours. Heaven moves for you now, the long road is behind you, and the open country lies ahead. Declare, I receive this if your heart is open and ready for what heaven is sending you today. As this awakening grows inside you, know that helping with this mission is not a joke. You can support this work through the link in the description or the pin comment, whether by buying a coffee, making a donation, or becoming a member of. It is a sign from God, our COF community. By doing so, you become part of Jesus' plan to save souls who are still stuck in fog. Every seed turns into light that fights against darkness. If you water others, you will be watered yourself. Jesus says this is not history. It is a living promise about your future. Come into this moment with faith and a plan. What has already planned for your life can be unlocked through your giving. We run on viewer support only. For exclusive member-only content, scan the QR or see the pinned comment. God bless you. Before we get to the end of this powerful story, let's reflect on this deep truth. You did not find this message by accident. This is a divine appointment meant specifically for you. You are being invited into a protected, faith-filled community at the link in the description and pinned comment. A place where divine abundance is not just a hope, but a promise built on the Word. By heading to the site right now, you are unlocking access to a sacred community of like-minded believers. When you join our membership tiers, you gain immediate entry to powerful content, daily devotions, and divine insights that are hidden from the world. This is your chance to enter a sanctuary where you will receive spiritual guidance, unwavering support on our prayer wall, and speedy progress toward your destiny. Do not let this moment of destiny pass you by. Your breakthrough is waiting. Join our inner circle through the exclusive link in the description. This is how you guarantee you never miss the personalized messages and spiritual warfare tools meant to elevate your life. If you feel called to deepen your connection, the link is waiting for you in both the pinned comment and the description. For those who want to amplify this work and carry the light home, you can find our guided ebooks and Bibles in the pinned comment. Whether you join as a member or sow a seed through our resources, your presence and energy change the world. Take this step. Your abundance awaits. You are about to enter your divine future. But remember, this breakthrough is not for you alone. Your testimony is the bridge someone else will use to reach their own miracle. Archangel Michael is inviting you to visit community through the link in the description or the pinned comment. Whether by buying a coffee, making a donation, or becoming a member of our community, does not go to a channel. Your actions are supporting a divine mission to save lost souls. By joining our like-minded community, you are no longer praying in isolation. You are adding your voice to a global sanctuary where we discuss the Word daily and stand in the gap for one another. This is not poetry when Jesus says give and heaven will open over you on this platform. Every seed you plant turns into oil for your destiny, fire for your calling, and a hedge of safety for your family. Now is your time. Step into our community prayer wall. Share your heart. And as you give, watch God multiply what you let go of. Let's finish this journey together. Visit our community now.